All right. Hey, folks. So today we're going to go back to the topic of deloads. Now, I did a video on deloads a few days back. If you haven't watched that video, I would strongly advise you to go and watch that now. So there is a link in the description. Watch that before you watch this video because it will provide a lot of context to what I'm about to say. Here, I'm going to recap on a couple of thoughts that I got in the time between the last video and this one, and also a decision I've made which is going to affect the next 3 to 4 months of my training life. So before that, if you are here and you like my content, please like the video, subscribe if you haven't done so already. I'm really trying to make a push for more people to subscribe rather than just watch my videos. So if you like my content, this is very much what I do. I will do a combination of sitting down, giving you genuine, helpful content. I'm a full-time coach, as well as my own training videos, so you can see that I walk the walk and I do it right now, not like 15 years ago. Okay, so let's first of all discuss what the plan is. So this deloading that I did 15 years ago, and I've done sporadically throughout my training life, I'm going to implement it again. At this point, I haven't had a deload since 2018. I had a small chest injury back then, which is now 6 years ago. And I remember taking a week off. I've mostly trained 6 days a week since then. The reason that I'm trying this is because it's something that's been on my mind for a while. And one of the things I'm a big believer in is adaptation to changes of circumstance and life. I'm always up to try sensible experimentations, and that's been my go-to for the last 25 years. For those of you who are new to the channel, for those of you who don't really know who I am, I've been lifting now for 25 years. I was a competitive athlete for 18 of those 25 years. I've coached for 10 years, and I've competed in bodybuilding, powerlifting, and strongman. In terms of experience, I have the broadest set of experience than pretty much anybody on YouTube. So that's my background. Now, I've been able to adapt as my body has gotten older and changed because I am willing to do sensible experimentations based on my intuition. So the deload video that I made very passionately a few days ago, which some of you noted, I am very passionate about the concept of deloads. And I think at this point in the lifting space, I'm probably one of the few guys who still defends deloads, as in planned deloads. And again, watch the video for my definition of planned deloads. It's not just taking a week off when you're tired. That's just called being tired. Let's not call that a auto-regulated deload, trying to sound all fancy. So I can rationalize what might work looking back over 25 years of predominantly successful training and competition. I'm in a position of experience. That's why I'm trying this experiment, because I think it could have benefits. And at the very worst, it's going to leave me no worse off. Okay, so worst case scenario, I lose nothing. Best case scenario, it might be of benefit to me at this age as my body changes. The classic quote that I love is, just when you think you have all the answers, your body changes the questions. And trust me, in 25 years of lifting, my body has changed a lot. You guys who aren't yet at that age will have all that to look forward to. It's quite the adventure, let me tell you. But to try and continuously stay to the point where I still look jacked, I feel good, I have had to try things. And this is one thing that I would like to try and give an honest try over the next few months. For me, it's quite easy to push through fatigue. I can still force progression. My results over the last 6 months have been great. I've been doing a bit of a transformation. So I've been doing my daily cardio, been doing my lifting, been controlling my calories a little bit. And I still find it quite easy to push through. So I can almost bully my body into continuing to make progress. So I think what I'm looking for with this is to try and see if I can get better results, because it's still about results. But also, if I can get slightly better quality of life, then that's also good too. So firstly, let's talk about the main issue here, right? Which is, how am I going to gauge if this is working or not? Now, point blank, what I'll say is the biggest determinant of whether this is working or not is going to be, am I able to add weight or reps at a faster rate than usual? That's the main thing. I'm familiar with how many reps I can normally add if I'm working through a training block. Generally speaking, I'm able to add 1 or 2 reps at a time, or maybe add a bit of weight and see my reps drop off. That's fine. For me, that is progression. It's nice, slow, steady progression. Now, if I'm able to add weight and reps faster overall, so taking into account the deload week, then that's a success for me. That's the only thing that really matters. It's the main thing that matters, because we've got to look back to what causes muscle growth. The fact is, progressive tension overload is what causes muscle growth. Always has been, always will be. There are varying levels of volume and intensity which facilitate that. But the bottom line is, if you are not getting stronger in a moderate to high rep range, with everything else, equal rep performance, all that kind of stuff, then you're not getting bigger. If you standardize your form, and it's good form, if you have at least an eye towards the correct muscles working, right, and your form is good, and you add 50 pounds onto your top set of 12, you're going to grow. Okay. So getting stronger in that moderate to high rep range with consistent form is the only viable way to grow. The only, period. Now, yeah, there are some sort of trickier issues if you're moving from more of a powerlifting style performance to a bodybuilding style performance. You might end up actually looking like you got weaker, but you're getting bigger. That's a separate issue. We are talking about consistent parameters. That is how I'm going to gauge if this is working or not. And that's what I would urge for you guys as well. Now, the secondary potential benefit that I'd be looking for is quality of life. I don't know. I've done this for so long. I've trained 6 days a week for so long without any deloads. I don't really know. Just me speaking very candidly here, being very honest with you guys here, speaking to you on a personal level. A lot of things change when you get older, so you don't necessarily know if it's age or something you're doing wrong. So I would say on average, I'm still very much a high energy guy, as shown by the last 6 months, going to the gym twice a day, all that stuff. But I don't know, maybe I will have better energy levels. Maybe I will be able to sleep better. Honestly, who knows? Maybe I'll be in a better mood all round. Who knows? I'm generally a pretty happy guy. So who knows? Sometimes these changes which occur and you just put them down to age. Who knows? Maybe it's something you're doing wrong. I mean, I think on the other side of things, I think a lot of guys who think they're old and feel old just have shit lives. They sleep terribly. They eat terribly. They train terribly. They get suckered into doing all kinds of BS training like power building, and their joints always feel beat up and they wonder why. Yeah. So a lot of times people do genuinely just have awful setups in life. And a lot of those guys will feel just generally tired and think of that as old age. I've had guys who are in their 30s tell me they feel old. What? What? And I'm sure there's probably a guy in his 60s now looking at the video thinking, wow, what are you talking about? It gets harder. Like, I get that. And I'm not saying I feel tired now. I feel freaking great. Jesus, I feel better than I did when I was in my 20s. And that's how you should feel. But what I'm saying is maybe the secondary effect will be better quality of life. I don't know. Right now, I feel great. Maybe I'll feel better. Who knows? So that's how will I gauge if this is working? And if you guys are to follow suit, how will you gauge if this is working? For me personally speaking, it's not going to be enough just to maintain progression, just to maintain my lifts. That wouldn't be enough for me. That would be a failed experiment. It would only be a success if I feel I'm gaining faster, because that's why. Otherwise, I'm going to carry on training 6 days a week with no breaks because I still enjoy it. I feel good. This is an experiment to potentially get better results. There has to be some element of improvement seen for me to continue this experiment. It's not just an excuse for me to take days off the gym. And for you guys, your perspective might be different. Now, the follow-on question from that is, how will I know if I'm resting too much? Or how will you guys know if you're resting too much? First of all, I think it's important to note none of us shrink in a week. Okay. You don't train for a week or you train light for a week, your muscles aren't going to vanish. If anything, you're going to feel bigger because you'll just be more full. And I can say this with a high degree of certainty. The bigger you are, the more of a difference it makes when you're depleted. Like, I've been on a higher carb, higher food intake recently. I walked into the gym yesterday. I looked massive. Even before I looked at a weight, I mean, the boys were there and they were like, holy crap, Faz, like, what have you done? There's a stark difference between being full versus being depleted when you actually have some muscle on you. It's a very stark difference. So there's nothing that's going to cause you to shrink in a week at all whatsoever. And for me, in terms of how I know I'll be resting too much, I think I can almost guarantee I'm going to come back stronger. I can almost guarantee it, because that's what used to happen to me. If I train sufficiently hard and then I take the deload, I come back stronger. So I think the flip side of that is, if you're coming back noticeably weaker and out of touch, you probably didn't deserve the deload. Maybe the reason you're feeling tired is because you don't sleep enough, your food's terrible, blah, blah, blah. You don't train hard enough anyway. So if you come back weaker, clearly the stimulus that you provided in your on weeks wasn't enough. Whereas for me, I always come back stronger. So I know for a fact, proven, hard fact, that the stress that I'm imposing on my muscles is enough, that it takes that entire time to recover, and I get more growth from coming back after the deload. And so how will I know if we're resting too much? I think if you come back weaker, that's a definite sign, because then you've taken too long off, or you just weren't training hard enough in the first place, and you were tired for other reasons, usually lifestyle. And some people just need to toughen up, to be honest. So that's your tell. Anyway, now let's talk about issues that might come up. This is something I've been thinking about, the whole deload thing, right? My first issue, which I think might be a problem, is sleep, the whole circadian rhythm kind of thing. So my body knows now, I wake up in the morning, I do cardio, I get outside, and then I train later. So by the end of the day, I'm sufficiently tired. And again, I'm a pretty high energy guy. So I've done 2 bouts of training during the course of the day. By the end of the day, I want to go to bed. Now, what about days when I'm not training and I'm just doing cardio? Maybe my sleep will be affected. Maybe I'll just be too pepped up on energy. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I'm saying this because I don't know. It's a kind of an unknown for me at this stage. I'm generally a high energy guy. So what am I going to do with all that energy? I don't know. I'll have more time. I've got plenty of things to do with my time. That's not a problem. I've got lots of work to do. I've got various other hobbies that I can get on with. So I live a very busy and fulfilling life. There's no problem with what am I going to do. I'm more concerned with, will I have so much energy that it actually affects my sleep and my circadian rhythms? That's a question mark, and one which I will have to answer in the future. Now let's talk about diet. The diet's not going to change much, as I don't think there's much of a need to change. I think in terms of protein, I'm keeping it high. I normally get about 270 to 300 grams of protein a day. For me, that is 1.5 grams per pound of body weight or over. That's a good amount for me. It makes my progression very smooth in the gym, pretty much guaranteed. Fiber, which I think is very important for you, I will get about 40 to 60 grams a day. Vegetables, legumes, things like that. Also includes healthy fats. I think they're important. Now, the only thing that might possibly change is my carb intake. I might lower my carbs on some either non-training days or light days, maybe, but not all of them, because I don't have a deload and either train light or not train for a week and then go back into a heavy session all depleted, because that's not going to be good. That's not the point. So if I'm going to be back on a Monday doing my first training session and I've been light or off all week, I want to make sure I'm at least reasonably fed. So that weekend before I go and train heavy again, I'm going to be eating pretty heavy. But yeah, not every day, but I might just vary my carb intake some days. Just pull it back on a couple of days. That's all. Now, the next question is, how long is this experiment going to go for? I would say probably I need to do at least 4 or 5 cycles. So 4 or 5 3-week cycles. So we're looking at about 12 to 15 weeks. I think that's reasonable. So what is that, like 3 or 4 months? I think that's pretty reasonable. And that will give me enough time to gauge if this is working or not. It's going to need some discipline. It's going to need some discipline. Just being honest with you guys, I am wincing a little bit at the thought of taking a deload because it's been so long. The plan is, you guys will watch this video on Friday. I'm going to do my final leg session on Friday. Weekend will be off. I'm also planning to take Monday and Tuesday of next week completely off. And then Wednesday and Friday, I will do a couple of light sessions. The reason that I'm doing the light sessions is I found previously, so 20 years ago, The reintroduction of exercise after a full week off was just too stressful. I would get just crippling soreness. Now, I don't mind soreness, and I found if I took a week completely off, it would just be a impractical amount of soreness. So the light days help to prime my body. So yeah, Wednesday and Friday next week, I'll just do a couple of light days, either full body or upper lower. It doesn't really matter, but just something. And then after the weekend, I'll go right back into the first heavy session, which will be chest and side delts. So that's the idea. And I think what I'm going to do is, since I owe you guys a video, I'm going to record that chest session and then provide some extended commentary on that session, which I think will be fun. And you'll also get to see if it worked or not, because if I come back and I'm significantly stronger, it'll work. If I come back in that session and I'm not significantly stronger, it's not going to be the end of the experiment, obviously, because one session is not going to make or break it, but it will at least give me an early warning sign that it was not a good idea. But I'm pretty confident I'll come back to that chest session on Monday a lot stronger, considerably stronger. But you guys will see. I'm not going to hold anything back. I'm going to give you exactly the truth. So watch out for that training video. And I'm also going to say, if you have felt like I've spoken to you over the last couple of videos on Deloads and you want to try it with me, by all means, try it with me. Update things on social media. If you want to update your training videos on social media, tag me at Fazlifts. Feel free to tag me on Instagram and I'll repost it. So yeah, just to summarize where we are, I am going to try this for the reasons that I stated at the beginning of the video. I think there are potential benefits. And I think as you get older and as your body changes, you've got to try and change and adapt to continue to get better gains. I'm a guy who's been lifting for 25 years. I'm still improving in certain areas. And that's important. That is important. And so I'm able to do that because I adapt, I change. My gauge for progression is going to be better progress. Quite simply, better. I'm not looking for minimal or enough. I'm looking for better progress. If I also see some quality of life issues, that's a good thing. I'll take it, but it's a secondary concern. And if you're going to do it, tag me in on Instagram at Fazlifts, and I'll repost videos, and we'll see how we do with this. Okay, right, folks. I'm going to call it there. Hopefully, you found that interesting, because the idea was for me to talk through my thoughts in the hope that you can reflect on this yourself and see if it's something that you want to try. I'm both excited and a little bit nervous about taking time off. So we will see. One thing I thought of, which I wanted to just tag on the end of this video, is cardio. Cardio is still going to be done 30 minutes, 6 days a week as a way to start my day and just have a bit of activity. It's purposely done zone 2, pretty chill, pretty relaxed. It's a nice start to my day.